when a crisis happens, we sit there and we say, it's either this, it's either this, it's either this, it's either that, or it's either this. And we tie percentages to it. I think there's a 40% chance it was this. I think there's a 3% chance it was this. I think there's a 13% chance it was this. What are 5 things, Tony, you think it could have been? The reason for 9/11.
Let me ask you a question before I give you the 5 things. Why would you stand down a cutting-edge black special operations unit in January of 2001, right before you know there are threats from that very target located within the United States? Why would you do that?
Who's you?
The inbound Bush administration, Bush 43. Why would the Bush administration in January of 2001, as they're coming into office, stop? Because there's evidence, because of basically what I'll answer your question, but I want to make sure we get this into the conversation. When what's his name went to the National Archives and took stuff out in his socks.
Sandy Berger stole
When Sandy Berger went into the National Archives, he stole a bunch of things, put it in his underwear and his socks.
He stole 5 documents.
He stole 5 documents. One of those documents was regarding the existence of Able Danger.
I can't prove that. I don't think anyone
I
can.
think we have a source.
Sandy Berger was President Clinton's top secretary to pleads guilty Friday to taking classified documents from the National Archives and cutting them up with scissors.
He stuffed them in his underwear and socks. He stole 5 documents. He got outside. The Inspector General for the Archives called him, and he lied. That's a felony. He committed 11 felonies. One of Clinton's lawyers cut a deal. The deal was he pled guilty to 11 felonies. I'm the only person that got into the archives after that, in August of 2006, before they took me out. I said, I want to see what we think Berger stole. Part of it was the Millennium After Action report by John Ashcroft, which you can get. We don't know exactly what Berger stole, but he didn't want the 9/11 Commission to be able to include what he had. It may have been Able Danger, we don't know. But the fact is, and I said this on the House floor, Sandy Berger was a traitor. If you stole one archive, you'd be in jail. You know what his sentence was? 11 felonies, and he gets 1 misdemeanor. No jail time, 1 misdemeanor. And it was pre-9/11 intelligence. That's what Tony's referring to.
It says it right here, the 5 documents. One of them, the Millennium After Action Review. The second one is analyze how the U.S. handled the foil terrorist plots around the 2000, including threats linked to Al-Qaeda. Then review contained assessment of the U.S. vulnerabilities, intelligence coordination failures, and recommendations for preventing terrorist attacks. Berger took 5 copies of the same document, not 5 documents, reportedly destroying 3 of them. He claimed he removed them to prepare testimony before 9/11 Commission, not to conceal wrongdoing. The original of the documents remain in the archives, only annotated or draft copies were taken.
I don't believe that.
That's not true. I was there. I went to the archives.
Yeah.
And the CIA told my staff, tell your boss not to be very careful what he's looking at. And I told him, the CIA doesn't control what I look at. I'm a member of Congress.
Again, why would you not want to have a full investigation of this? Just saying.
I would want to, but when you said in January, if you knew the special ops, why would you put a stop to it?
Right.
So Bush gets elected January 20th, 2001. So the way I would process that, if you're saying in January, that means it's in the last 11 days of January. Is that fair? Because he's not president yet.
Right.
Then he's not making a decision. Somebody else is making a decision for him. Because what he's doing is, it's his first term. He's probably asking, what do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think? I think we should do this. You're a rookie that just got in.
I'm not saying that's
So I don't
not
think
valid.
he made the decision.
I'm saying, though, that when you're briefed on a capability that clearly Condoleezza Rice and others said, oh, we knew something was coming a little bit. You know, they were all these memos. And that's the mystery we've asked to be told, too, because we were stood down. We were trying to say, as Kurt indicated, something's happening. We need to be on top of this. Captain Scott Philpott was calling me constantly to go around his chain so we could reactivate this. He was I had a clandestine location in Old Town Alexandria. He actually called me one time and says, can we use your clandestine location to springboard and get this going again? It's like, yeah, if you can do it.
So why did they?
We don't know.
I want to give you one more kudo for this team.
I still don't have the 5, by the way. I want to know the 5 speculation.
And Eric will and Tony will both verify this. And Scott Philpott came to my office on 9/11. He got very emotional. This is an Academy graduate, a Naval Academy. And he said, Congressman, this is not the effing America I swore to uphold and defend. He was very emotional. He said, we also could have prevented the attack on the USS Cole. You want to talk about that, Eric?
The second time I had to, we went up to testify was in February of 2006. And we had, after everything's done, you got reporters floating around the room and everything. And I had one guy come up to me and he was asking me some very personal questions. What are you doing now? What are you doing for work? That kind of thing. Followed me out into the hallway and I said, I'm sorry. I'm not going to answer any more of your questions. I don't know who you are. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kirk Lippold. I'm the commander of the USS Cole. And Kirk and I are friends now, but
He's a friend of
that's
mine.
the moment that,
Rob, Kirk Lippold.
that's the moment that, again, it hits you that, again, I feel responsible for the loss of your sailors.
18,
I feel,
18 sailors.
I have the I get to carry the responsibilities for the loss of 3,000 people on 9/11. The 20th, I really wish you hadn't played that video just a few minutes ago, because on the 20th anniversary, my wife found me totally broken down in our kitchen, and I get to carry that PTSD the rest of my life. And I didn't think I had it, and it got worse and worse, and it gets worse and worse every year.
And I feel the same way about the Downey family. These things have got to stop. This is no longer America when this happens. And Donald Trump can do it by putting in place a commission of independent people to do what he says he's going to do. And I support that, and I support him. Name an independent commission. Put you on the commission. You have integrity.
I've got the 5 things for you. I think there's 5 likely events. We'll go through them one by one. First is government incompetence. They were completely just, nobody knew what the hell they were doing. Keystone Cops all the way. And the 9/11 report is correct. That's one presumption. It's like, yeah, it's exactly like they said it. John Lehman wrote the narrative. Everything is accurate.
I would say no matter what, one is right. I said no matter what, one is right.
Competence is, I think, a factor, no doubt.
Well, my opinion, you're not saying this, I'm saying this. What I'm saying is no matter whatever the 5 you propose, my opinion, number 1 is absolutely right. What's 2?
Okay, a controlled operation that went wrong. There is allegations, we've talked about them today, that at least 2 of the individuals were under control of CIA, that the FBI was also involved in some level because a guy named Anwar al-Awlaki, my friend Catherine Herridge did reporting on him. Anwar al-Awlaki was a controlled asset of the FBI who actually moved 2 of the 9/11 hijackers around, who later was assassinated as U.S. citizen by Barack Obama in Yemen, he and his son. Anwar al-Awlaki, there he is. He was, I would argue, I don't want to get off track here, but Anwar al-Awlaki actually lectured at the Pentagon in 2004 because he was brought in but he was actually handling 2 of the 9/11 individuals. He actually gave them a tour. He was out of there. So based on that, there could have been an aspect of the U.S. government controlling individuals and them getting out of control. There's a movie called The Siege, which kind of covers this, if you remember that, with Bruce Willis and Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I was once told by a Pentagon official, by the way, in a random moment that, that would never happen, which was a strange moment to look back on at this point.
So 1, government incompetency. 2 is controlled operation that went wrong.
3 is, and basically that's omission. By omission, they didn't control it. Commission. I think more severe would be then the government kind of knew this was going to happen. They allowed these people to go into place. They didn't adequately provide full-time surveillance, and they basically allowed the 9/11 attack to happen with the theory that they were going to try to stop it at the last second, and they were unable.
Why would they allow it to happen?
I'll be blunt. I think we've talked about the profit motives of a number of individuals. I don't believe for a minute the deep state is a single entity. I think I think George Carlin once said you don't have to be organized if you all have people that feel the same way about things. And if you had a sufficient critical mass of individuals, neocons, I am not a neocon for the record. I'm a Reagan guy, and I fought most of my life against neocons. I think the neocons, both parties, by the way, this would explain the Clinton-Bush connection, would allow essentially some level of event to happen per, you mentioned it earlier, Pat, about the roadmap. You brought up the article about the roadmap. That would be the roadmap, that they kind of let this happen. And then the last option, the 5th option, is full-blown, the government was behind it and planned it. Those are the 5 options as I see them.
Or another government cooperated with our government.
Well, I think another government cooperated in most of these, just saying.
What other government would benefit
Saudi
from
Arabia. Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I saw the one thing with Saudi Arabia.
I don't
is
think we should limit it to any one country.
Who else would you add to the list?
I
that's a
wouldn't add any
possibility?
other country because I don't have the facts, but I mean, any person with a brain could figure out there'd be other countries that would have a motive to want to see this occur.
Possibly China?
I don't want to speculate on.
I don't think they were
camera.
developed sufficiently to see us as an adversary in a focused way in the late 90s.
When you say Saudi Arabia, report included references to individuals with connections to Saudi government who allegedly had contact with the hijackers. However, deeper investigation to Saudi involvement was left out, later addressed in the 28 pages declassified in 2016, which raised further questions about possible support networks.
Two things on that. My dear friend, late Congressman Walter Jones, got that declassified. Walter passed a while back. There was a finding that we haven't talked about. In parallel to what we're talking about here, Pat, was a finding. Alex Station, CIA had a finding to assassinate bin Laden. We weren't part of that, by the way. We were completely independent. As a matter of fact, when I was first read into the Special Operations Command concept, I was asked to go brief the CIA representative of the Special Operations Command, a guy named Dave Rolfe. Dave Rolfe, I read him into the project, and he confirmed the existence of Alex Station and the finding. And the reason I briefed him into it, CIA, is because we didn't want to have them think that we were trying to go after bin Laden. So what was going on at the same time we were doing Able Danger was the CIA finding, Alex Station. That's out there. There's a couple of books on it. What I'm saying is that they actually were targeting bin Laden directly, CIA was, outside of what we were doing. And within the context of what you just said, the Saudi Arabians were helping support bin Laden. As a matter of fact, one of the assassination attempts was stopped because one of the Saudi royal family was falcon hunting with bin Laden, apparently in Afghanistan. And at the time that they were getting ready to use an armed predator to take him out, they recognized at the very last minute that one of the Saudi royal family members, the chief of the Saudi intelligence, was with bin Laden. And I think this was in '99.
So I just looked this up to ask a question. Who else was other countries possibly? And this is not you saying it, Kurt. This is ChatGPT saying it. So we're not putting it on you. 15 out of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals. That's one thing that we know. 2, Pakistan. Inner Services Intelligence was long suspected of having murky ties to Islamist groups, including those in Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden was found in Abbottabad, Pakistan in 2011, just a mile from a major military academy. Okay. UAE, 2 of the hijackers were from UAE, and the other country was used as financial hub for some of the funding and planning. Iran, no evidence of Iran involved in 9/11, but the 9/11 Commission acknowledged that some hijackers transitioned through Iran, which I know you want to say something about that, without having their passports stamped. This is where Qasem Soleimani was involved. 5 Iraq, 6 Israel, and 7 China. Those are the countries that came up of possibilities of being here. And your facial reaction is very...
I'll talk to you off camera.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.